There's a hard truth buried in after-action reports, memoirs, and field manuals that rarely makes it into modern survival advice. When conditions collapsed and survival became the priority, soldiers didn't cling to their gear. They shed it. Again and again, across wars, climates, and decades, the same pattern appears. The equipment that looked essential in training was the first to be discarded when movement, concealment, and endurance mattered more than theory. Understanding what soldiers abandoned first tells us more about real survival than any packing list ever could. These weren't careless choices. They were deliberate decisions made under exhaustion, danger, and consequence. The first things to go were heavy, single-purpose items. Extra ammunition beyond a workable load, spare barrels, oversized entrenching tools, and secondary weapons were often dropped during forced marches or retreats. Weight compounds fatigue, and, well, fatigue kills. Soldiers learned quickly that mobility mattered more than carrying capacity. A man who could move, climb, and react lived longer than one carrying everything he was issued. Next came bulky, cold-weather equipment that trapped moisture. This surprises modern audiences, but history is clear. In both world wars and later conflicts, soldiers discarded heavy coats, thick gloves, and insulated overgarments once movement began. Not because they weren't cold, but because sweating inside heavy clothing was worse. Wet insulation became dead weight that froze during rest. Veterans consistently favored layered systems they could vent and adjust, even if that meant temporarily exposing skin. Large packs were another early casualty. When units made contact or needed speed, rucksacks were ditched without hesitation. Soldiers retained only what fit in pockets or lightweight webbing. The logic was brutal, but sound. If you couldn't fight or move with it, you couldn't keep it. Food beyond immediate rations was often abandoned as well. Soldiers didn't starve because they lacked calories. They starved because they couldn't stop moving long enough to eat properly. Shelter systems were frequently left behind unless they were simple and fast. Tents, poles, and ground systems just disappeared when conditions deteriorated. Even weapons weren't immune. Secondary firearms, captured gear, and specialty tools were among the first discarded when movement was compromised. Soldiers, consistently prioritized reliability over firepower. A single trusted rifle beat multiple unfamiliar weapons that demanded maintenance, ammunition, and attention. Navigation equipment also followed this pattern. Excess tools were dropped, but knowledge remained. Perhaps most revealing is what soldiers never abandoned. Personal knives, basic medical items, water containers, and simple repair tools stayed with them until the end. These weren't glamorous items. They were versatile, low maintenance, and usable under stress. What emerges from these patterns is, a clear survival hierarchy. Mobility beats comfort, simplicity beats redundancy, and, skills beat equipment. This directly challenges modern survival culture, which, often promotes accumulation over competence. Soldiers didn't survive by carrying more. They survived by knowing what to drop. The lesson isn't to travel light just for the sake of minimalism. It's really to understand function under stress. If an item can't earn its weight when you're tired, cold, scared, and moving fast, history suggests it won't stay with you long. That's the real insider knowledge buried in military history. Survival isn't about what you pack. It's about what you're willing to let go of. If you value historically grounded survival lessons instead of gear-driven myths, do consider subscribing to the channel and share this with someone who thinks preparedness means carrying everything.